A very cruel escalation, a relentless bombardment of a captive civilian population that has already been under siege for months, that has been deprived of basic requirements like food and medicines and fuel and so on and power, and now it's being shelled from the air and in one of the most densely populated areas in the world. And Israel has gotten used to acting with impunity and with immunity, continuing to target this captive civilian Palestinian population without any kind of intervention or accountability. This is entirely unacceptable, and it has to stop immediately.
But Israel would say that they were merely responding to rocket fire from Gaza, given that this was a ceasefire, but really 2 months ago it was starting to break down, wasn't it?
Yes, the ceasefire was beginning to break down precisely because Israel did not comply with the terms of the ceasefire and continued the siege of Gaza and the targeting of Palestinians everywhere, not just in Gaza but also in the West Bank. The question is not to deal with the latest escalation, but the issue is to deal with the real causes. And the real causes continue to be the ongoing Israeli occupation, Israel's use of violence, Israel's use of collective punitive measures without any kind of intervention or accountability, and then condemning the responses once Israel provokes people beyond endurance. It seems to me if we are going to put an end to this cycle of violence, then the issue is the occupation itself and the fact that Israel has gotten used to not being held accountable and to being a country above the law and above any kind of intervention.
But if Israel was not complying with the terms of this ceasefire, is firing off rockets the way for Hamas to deal with that? Can they not use alternative channels?
Well, they've certainly tried many different ways. I think the Palestinian Authority has been trying through negotiations, through peaceful means, but this has produced nothing. And at the same time, even though many Palestinians, including myself, do not condone the use of rocket fire or violence, you cannot sort of hold the victim accountable while the occupying power is constantly above the law and is not held accountable. So it's not a question of Hamas responding in this way. It's a question of how do we put an end to this lethal cycle in ways that would prevent recurrence and that would end the occupation.
But this lethal cycle has started yet again, hasn't it? I mean, after 4 months of the truce being fairly stable, and then 2 months ago, problems from Gaza with the rockets, and then, of course, now Israel responding, this is spiralling out of control. 150 people dead, more than 200 injured. So where to from here? How do we resolve this? Because we've seen this cycle over and over and over again.
Absolutely, and it is cruel, it's unacceptable, and this kind of massacre shows how far Israel can go without being stopped.